Hey everyone, welcome to the KE Report and another company update from Sitka Gold, chatting again with Mike Burke, Director and Vice President of Corporate Development. We are going to be recapping some visual results from a different target, one that we haven't talked about that much on the RC Gold project in the Yukon in the Tombstone Gold Belt. This is the Pukelman area, more the contact zone at the Pukelman area. Figure 5 shows the regional map. I always refer back to this, and this Pukelman area is, let's just say, a little south or southeast of the Eiger and Blackjack zones, as well as around all these other targets the company is drilling. Sitka is traded on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol SIG, on the OTCQB under the symbol SITKF, and the Frankfurt Exchange 1RF. Now, Mike, again, visual results from this Pukelman area. You are seeing more visible gold. This seems to be a pretty consistent trait of the drilling at this project broadly. But can you give us a little bit more background on this Pukelman area? I see that it was first drilled back in 2010, 2011, but then nothing has come from that. So, background on this area, please.
Yeah, well, back to our batting average. We're batting 1,000, Corey, on hitting visible gold on the different zones. So this is the fifth area that we've drilled. We call it the contact Pukelman. It's kind of two zones in close association with each other. You can look at that figure 5 that you mentioned, but there's also a closer in map, figure 3, on this news release, and it shows the southern area of the Pukelman intrusion. And so just to the south of the Pukelman intrusion, there's a felsic, an intrusive dike. You can see it as kind of a line coming off that intrusion into the surrounding metasediments. And so up to about 500 meters south of that intrusive contact is the contact zone. It's gold in veining, quartz veining, typical that we've seen within the intrusions, low sulfide, bismuthinite, arsenopyrite, and visible gold, but hosted within these metasedimentary rocks, not in the intrusion itself. And if you recall last year, you can see on that map, figure 3, we drilled 2 holes at the end of the year within the intrusion itself, hole 73 and 74, and they hit broad, widespread gold mineralization. These were the first tests within that intrusive itself. But the bulk of the drilling historically has been in this contact zone. It has a really nice soil geochemistry anomaly. If you go back to that figure 5 you mentioned, you can't really see the intrusion because that map has soil geochem on top, and it's a big red blob because there's a lot of gold in the soil there. So back in 2010 and 2011, it saw some drilling by Golden Predator, drilled a number of RC as well as a few diamond drill holes. And we're following up on that. We do oriented core drilling. All our drilling is diamond drill core. So we're able to, derive very valuable information. We can see the rock better. We can take structural measurements to really understand what's hosting this mineralization. So these first holes, the 6 holes within this contact zone, we're looking at that and deriving that information. And then, of course, we've observed this visible gold in this area. So we're focused on the contact. And then as we finish our drilling, we have 5,000 meters planned in this area. We'll be drilling within the intrusion itself. And you can see the direction of our drilling. These two zones collide, so to speak, the contact zone and that southern contact of that Pukelman intrusion. So we'll move into that area and keep hitting visible gold, I hope. But we're extremely encouraged by the results we have so far.
So it's 5,000 meters out of this 30,000 meter program. Actually, one of the less, I guess, meterage that you're drilling at one of these targets. What are you hoping to prove out just through this 5,000 meters, of which you're a little under halfway through?
Yeah, well, historically, there was a little over a couple thousand, about 2,500 meters. So with our 5,000 meters, we hope to be able to demonstrate that there's another potential deposit here. Our drilling should be able to, if we get the assay results that we hope, we should be able to start outlining a new deposit area. And that's the goal of our drilling, frankly, everywhere we drill, up to the north where we're drilling our known deposits, We're expanding those, but in the south in the Pukelman and Gobble, the two areas that we've drilled so far to date, the goal there, of course, is to outline some initial resources, and that's the way we've planned our drilling. And so far, with the visible gold and the early results that we've seen assay results in the Gobble area. That's about another couple kilometers south of the Pukelman contact area. We've seen some great initial results, so we're on a good track here.
Now, just explain a little bit more this Pukelman area where you have the Pukelman stock, you have the contact zone, you also have this Pukelman West stock. Sounds like the focus is around this contact zone and the stock area, but how could it all tie together? Any correlations to what you already have at Eiger, at Blackjack, the resource areas?
Yeah, if you really put your reading glasses on that figure 6 that shows the overall property, a lot of these zones are controlled by structure. Whenever you're looking at any mining property, any exploration property, structure is a big part of the story. And you can see, it's a little difficult to see, but there's these east-west extensional zones. These are long-lived structures that these intrusions came up along and the mineralization came up along, as well as north-south structures. So you can see a east-west zone that cuts through the Blackjack, Saddle, and Eiger zones to the north. There's a east-west zone that cuts through the Pukelman West Stock and the Pukelman Contact Zone. And then there's another east-west zone that cuts through the Rosgobble and the Big Creek Stock to the south. So where these extensional zones, they, create space, allowed these intrusions to come up. And then after these intrusions, these mineralizing fluids that had gold in them. So we're seeing, linkages between all these areas. All these intrusions are related, coming from a common source. Their ages are all very similar, and we're seeing, gold in all of them so far to date. So that's the linkage between all of these.
So, Mike, looking back at some of that prior drilling, there's some pretty good results there. 38 meters of over 1.5 grams per ton gold, 74 meters of just over a gram per ton gold. How closely are you drilling these holes, or at least some of the holes, to where the drilling occurred back in 2010, 2011?
Yeah, you can see the location of those historical holes that are in that table on the drill plan map, which is figure 3. So we're close, but we're stepping out from those. We're not twinning holes. A lot of times folks will go back and twin a hole that's been done historically, and that can be for various reasons, legitimate ones. You might not have the old data. You might, have questions about, the recovery, or yeah, not good solid data. But these holes that were drilled historically by Golden Predator back in 2010 and 2011, that previous drill core that they had, there's a couple holes that still exist, and we have that core on site. And the reverse circulation drilling that they did, we have all the chip trays. So we do have reference material. They did it to modern day standards. They use standards and duplicates and all the right methods there. So we trust their data, and we're following up on it with our own. So we're drilling in the vicinity, but we're not duplicating holes.
So would you be able to include that past drilling, the old drilling, into a resource in the future?
Yeah, that's always up to the you have to use an independent qualified person. So they would come up, they'd visit the site, they'd look at that historical data and information and do an audit on it, look at the drill core if it exists and some of those chips. So if they are satisfied that that data is valid, then they would include it in a resource. If they have questions about it, well, then they wouldn't. So that's why you're always using these. You have to use an independent qualified person.
Okay, fair enough. Now, when it comes to news flow in terms of actual assay results, the news release says you have 52 holes at the assay lab. Pending results, where do these fit in? Where will we be seeing some near-term assay results then?
Yeah, assay results. We should have some news coming out fairly shortly on some of the drilling up to the north, so that Blackjack, Saddle, and Eiger areas. And then, of course, we had moved some drill holes up in the queue on the Roscobble, and then we're just getting these. So again, news flow, you can see I've been talking to you a fair bit, Corey. We have a pretty steady stream of news flow here, so we should be seeing those results out in the near term, and then again continuing up and into the fall as we see the results trickle in from these 52 holes that we have in the queue and the holes that we have left to drill yet. Did say in there as well, we're drilling a sixth target, Bear Paw Breccia. It's just to the south of the Rosgobble intrusion. It saw some drilling back in 2010 and 2011 as well, with some pretty encouraging results. So we're doing a bit of drilling down there to confirm those results, as well as having a look using our own oriented diamond drill core. So again, some results from that sixth target, and hopefully we keep the old batting average up. We're like the Toronto Blue Jays. We're on a run here, but we're batting 1,000, so it's a pretty fun place to be.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about this bear paw target. I know we talked about it, I believe, last year when we were talking about the potential of other targets to be drilled. You brought up bear paw and Josephine, but you are actually drilling bear paw. Any insights on how many holes, how many meters you're going to put into this kind of newer target?
Yeah, again, we're pretty flexible. So we've outlined, broadly the 15,000 meters on the north, 5,000 on Pukelman Contact, and 10,000 at Rosgobble. But we have flexibility. The drill was moving up into the Bear Paw area, so we'll put one hole in there to start, and depending on what we see, geologists, we change our mind daily, depending on the observations we make in the drill core. So it's always an ongoing, evolving program. So at least one, we'll see if we do more than that. And then again, finishing the year here on the Pukelman contact area, as well as we're still drilling on the Roscobble.
All right, Mike. Thanks for the update. Kind of fun to talk about some of these other targets as well. We've been talking a lot about the Rosgobble area, Blackjack, Eiger, but now Pukelman and Bear Paw with some upcoming results. And so far, Pukelman, you're hitting some visible gold. I'll get more information from you on the Bear Paw target as we get more news out on that. If anybody has any follow-up questions, as always, please email me. I'll get Mike to address those, and I'll follow up as more drill results come from this 30,000 meter program. Mike, thank you as always for your time.
Yeah, thank you.